Hello guys, welcome to another episode with your boy Phrankleen. Shocking, UK Home Office cancelled over 36,000 international student visas. Right, so I'm going to give you a quick background to this situation. So in 2014, the Home Office, discovered examination frauds at some government-approved centers for test of English for international communication, known as TOEIC, which involves a written and oral section and a separate multiple choice question paper. So, long story short, back then, there was actually a documentary on TV by BBC Panorama, whereby, yes, truly, there were test centers where, perhaps those that couldn't do those English tests themselves, of course, paid unscrupulous persons in those test centers to have standing, persons for them, which of course was an abuse of, the whole system and stuff. Now, I'm not refuting those claims because they were quite genuine. But what followed afterwards and the blanket treatment of thousands of innocent international students. The reason this caught my attention, and I thought to make a video about it to bring it to the attention of my viewers and subscribers, is I'd made, as some of you know, I'd made subsequent previous videos, about life in the UK. The first video that brought thousands of you to my attention was my reaction video a few days ago to when I was talking about sense of entitlement and how education on this side of the world is purely business for them. It's really about what they want to get from you. They really don't care about what happens to you if you as a student, or if you as the child or son or daughter of a parent who have paid through their nose and thousands of pounds. They don't care if you get what you get afterwards, how you progress your career, pretty much. So anyway, in 2014 there was a documentary, as I was saying, and it really exposed the scale of the criminality and stuff. And yes, there were evidences that there were people gaming the system, abusing, through the use of those test centers. They were charging people thousands of pounds to get someone to write those exams, and they were pretty much gaming the system, which, okay, I agree. But now watch. So at the time, about 20, I've got my notes here, about 25, the test centers, people who were found to have been facilitating the examination frauds, like the owners of those bogus centers were convicted and they were jailed and all that stuff. 1,000 at the time, about 1,000, international students who were found, guilty, were deported. But here is the problem. The Home Office has also deported, more than 1,000 people after its own probe into the exam fraud began in 2014. And the cheating scandal came to light in an undercover BBC Panorama investigation, as I said, into fraud at 2 centers administering the mandatory language tests. As a result, the Home Office ordered the US firm, there's a US company, right, called Educational Testing Service, to check they ordered them to check more than 58,000 tests that were taken between 2011 and 2014. Now, these software, right, is basically a voice recognition software that suggested that proxy test takers were used in more than 30,000 cases. So I was wondering, how does this software, how is it able to effectively identify people that were being involved in fraud and stuff? So here's the background. The technology extracts biometric features from an individual's speech to create a voice print, the voice equivalent of a fingerprint, basically. It then looked for possible matches which indicated the same individual took multiple tests before auditors verified suspected matches. So they said, following that, 25 people who basically ran those scam centers were in fact convicted and jailed. But the problem is, since 2014 and now, right, but actually, before I go on, back in 2016, because there was a public outcry about the unfair treatment of international students who have paid thousands of pounds into the system of this country. There's this blanket treatment of everyone being unlawfully criminalized and being, visas just being stopped and terminated. It's like you're switching off a light, like just cut the switch off. They were just killing visas. And in 2016, the treatment of international students in UK to be investigating informal inquiry, right? All of the inquiry was meant to be carried out about the government's treatment of these students and stuff. But just like any other thing, it was all swept under the carpet. Everything went quiet, okay? It was on the news for a bit. And what tends to happen is when you hear this scandal about the government's, catastrophic failings, what you find with the mainstream media is there's this hush, hush, hush approach. They might talk about it. You don't hear nothing about it anymore. But the problem is innocent people, they're being treated like dirts. They're being treated and criminalized and victimized. I'm coming with it. So anyway, back in 2016, everything went quiet. So bear in mind that the Home Office, the UK Home Office, they carried on without blanket treatment, unfair treatment of thousands of innocent international students were treated like criminals. In fact, this recent scandal that came to light exposed the fact that a lot of thousands of innocent students, international students who have paid thousands of pounds into this country were basically just labeled as, were criminalized and said, oh yeah, your visa's cancelled, you have to leave the country. A lot of them, their certificates were withheld by universities. They're not allowed. Check this. You've paid thousands of pounds into universities. So based on instruction from the Home Office, they revoked their certifications. They were not allowed to finish. A lot of them were not allowed to graduate. And here is the thing. Watch this. There was a Labour member of Parliament, a government official, right? Labour MP Stephen Teams. He said, many students were falsely accused based on evidences and had been given no opportunity to clear their name. People's driver's licenses have been unlawfully revoked. Bank accounts frozen, blocked. People can't use hospitals. There's actually a case of a woman that was on the TV a couple of days ago who got pregnant. I think she got a partner in this country. And she said when she went to give birth in the hospital, she was billed £14,000. So the husband now is having to pay that debt. Normally, if someone is here, if there wasn't the issue of this false accusation, she would have just had a baby and left the hospital and gone with her life. Yeah, she was billed £14,000. She's not allowed to use the hospital for free. Bank accounts being closed. She came to the UK to study law. Yeah, she's not allowed to graduate. She can't get a certification. She's been trying for 4.5 years to clear a name, and the problem thousands of these students are facing is they are being deliberately and maliciously blocked within the justice system and prevented from clearing their names. So your right to fair hearing, which is a breach of your fundamental human right, Article 6 of the Human Rights Act 1998, right? Regardless, even a murderer that you can say, okay, even if you say, oh, allegedly, but you know that, oh, this guy's going to go down. A murderer has the right to a fair process. How can you accuse people? This is what I'm trying to say to people, right? Whilst you may not be one of these people, trust me, this is a catastrophic failing. I could have shared some BBC videos with you, but because of copyright and stuff, I'm going to put some links below in the description. This is what I was trying to explain in some of my previous videos, because particularly some of you Nigerians, people are pig-headed because people are ill-informed. And I love my people. I'm not having a go at you. This is why I was emphasizing on the fact that, you see, I get it. You live in Africa. You probably know little to nothing about the country you're going to. I get it. But the essence, the premise of a channel like my channel is to ignite that process in people's minds. Start reading. You need to read, you need to research, you need to educate yourself. Try to understand, okay, this country, it's not just about UK, right? I might even come and offer you information about, oh, this so country is providing this type of visa, postgraduate, work visa and stuff. Great. But you still have a work to do. You have to go and research and look into the background. What are they like racism? How do they treat international people? What are my rights? How can they navigate? What is this country known for? You need to, because I can give you information. It's just advice, right? If it's not your cup of tea, you can walk away from it, because I'm trying to let people know over 36,000, this guy said, the government member of Parliament, Stephen Teams, said, the international students trusted Britain to provide them with a decent education. Instead, They have been falsely accused of cheating and given no chance to appeal. It's one thing to be falsely accused. I think what anybody would do is, okay, this has come as a devastating news. I would do whatever I can to clear my name, right? But think about this. Your right to appeal, those life-shattering decisions, just got revoked. You are asked to leave the country. In fact, I'll tell you interestingly, when I watch this, there's this show called Victoria Derbyshire Show. There was a gentleman who's from Bangladesh. He has a very heavy Bangladeshi accent. I mean, it takes no rocket science to know. You can hear from how this gentleman is talking, right? He's very articulate with English language, but he has a very prominent Bangladeshi accent. After 4.5 years of fighting fruitlessly, yeah? The Home Office then recently sent him an extracted audio clip and said, oh, that's your voice, that's your voice, that's your voice, that's the voice of you cheating. When they played that audio clip, even a 5-year-old would know that, huh? That's a totally different person. That's not a match with this man here, because this man struggles to pronounce certain English words because of his heavy local accent, Bangladeshi accent, which is understandable. This other person's voice is a very articulate, very fluent person. And there are thousands of people in limbo in UK as we speak, international students, that have been falsely accused. Imagine being falsely accused of any form of criminality, and your right to challenge that process, your right to clear your name, to say, hey, I'm not one of those criminals. I'm not saying there aren't some bad eggs, but I did nothing wrong. Your right of appeal is revoked. Think about it. Your bank account's frozen. Your parents, your family have paid thousands of pounds, thousands, hard-earned money into the system of this country so that you can get quality education, right? And the universities are then empowered to say, oh yeah, up until this point where you are, we're going to have to kick you out of the university. We can't give you any refund. You can't get your certificates. Oh yeah, because the Home Office said you're a criminal, you know, so you're going to have to leave. You're banned from coming back to the premises. Or maybe some of them were in their second year, some were in the first year, some were in fact in their final year. Some had spent about 4 years. Their certificates were withheld by the respective universities because the Home Office said they're criminals. So basically, thousands of pounds gone down the drain, which would be millions of whatever local currency in exchange. Their lives have been in limbo for 4.5 years. They're not allowed to progress through the justice system. The Home Office is just asking them to leave the country. There's another gentleman who's just one example. This guy has been so devastated. He made the effort of going to take a separate English test just by himself, yeah? In an attempt, after 4 years, the Home Office has failed to provide evidence. They're just saying, you need to leave the country, you need to leave the country, right? So this guy then sent them another result and say, look, I've gone to take another exam just to prove that I didn't game the system, I wasn't there, I wasn't involved. They said, we are sticking to our decision, you need to leave. This is why, I go back to my point, this is my point about, I'm saying, we as black folks, okay, again, I'm bringing this home to my people. That's the premise of this video. We need to educate ourselves. We need to be informed. You know, I'm not knocking you for wanting to come somewhere, because you don't even have to know anybody. If you've got a shred of human feelings, you see some of these people, the devastating stories, your heart will be shattered to smithereens. I'm not refuting the claims that there weren't people that cheated the system, right? I get that. But to then use that as an avenue to target innocent people, to destroy lives. Because why? If you are accusing people and you are then unable to provide evidences to back up your allegations, then what you're doing is unlawful. But they are doing these things in the sense that, what are you going to do about it? This is Britain. We can get away with it. Now, this scandal came into light, a few days ago, and now there's about, the Home Office, the UK Border Force are going to get, investigated about the, unlawful treatment of international students, of innocent students and all that. This is what they do, yeah? There was a time not too long ago, a few years ago, they were deliberately, they would go on the trains, they would go on the bus, they were targeting people. Us, non-EU, right? Don't get me wrong. Some people can argue that, oh yeah, that's the job of the immigration and stuff. But I'm telling you, people were being maliciously targeted. There's been stories of people that would go through the justice system. They go to the administrative court. The administrative court, which is the arm of the high court, is where you go, you take what they call judicial review. So for example, a government department like the Home Office, if they are being found to be irrational, to be acting in an unlawful manner, which in a way that breaches your human right, you can challenge them via what you call a judicial review, via the administrative court. It's a specialist court that deals with judicial review. And if they are found wanting, like what you've done is absolutely unlawful, is in breach of this person's fundamental human rights, you can't do this, you can't do that. But unfortunately, these people have got so much power that they abuse the system. Think about it. They obliterate your right to appeal. Basically, I can just wake up and call you a criminal, and that's it. You don't get the chance to clear your name. How does that work in a civilized society? So I think, like I said, a lot of the mainstream media outlets, they've been so hush-hush. They've been quiet about this. Even on the BBC website, they put very scanty information about it. So many people are being unlawfully targeted. Lives are being destroyed. Think about it. Put yourself in the shoes of these people. Your mom and dad or your uncle, whomsoever that sponsored you to come here, thousands of pounds into this country's economy in exchange for your education. Then you get caught in the line of, whilst you're living your daily life, you're falsely accused. If you're found wanting, if you're genuinely guilty, you know, that's on you. You face the consequences. But if you've done nothing, some people have spent, I was reading, some people spend thousands of pounds in legal fees for lawyers, paying lawyers for nothing. Because why? They are being blocked in the justice system. Rights of appeal are being revoked. Okay, give me evidences of the allegation. There is nothing. There is absolutely nothing. Lives are being destroyed. Degree blocked. You can't get your degree. Driver's license revoked. Bank accounts frozen. You're prevented from using the hospital. People are being forcefully, unlawfully removed from the UK, and if you're being deported, they will basically do anything and everything to fingerprint you, to block you out. Your details are then shared across with other, neighboring allies. How is this fair? This is what, this is not to inflict anybody with fear. This is to educate us. This is to get you thinking. What do you think? Do you think this is fair? This is what a so-called civilized society. It's just heartbreaking. You've got to be a downright evil person for you not to be shocked, for you not to be taken aback, for you not to be stunned. It's absolutely revolting. It's unbelievable. This is what they are doing to people. This is why, like I said, I'm educating my people. I'm just bringing this to your attention for you to know. Yes, there might be some international students. You're currently in the system. This takes back to my videos. And I said, they pretty much don't give a shit. They want your money. They do whatever they can to just get rid of you if they choose to get rid of you. That's it. I'll put links in the description. Go have a read and stuff. Let's keep the conversation going below. If this is your first time, if you've recently subscribed to my channel, as I say, look out for much more interesting contents. And, whatever direction you choose to take your life, I wish you all the best. And stay tuned for my forthcoming videos. And thank you for watching. It's your boy Phrankleen. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace and love. Bye now.